Today's video, I discuss some upcoming projects and problems. Hello, I'm Eugene Tordo. This is AT Garage, and I'm going to discuss some upcoming projects. I was going to do this today, but I'm not going to go into that for now. And I got some other projects coming up that I want to get done inside this garage that aren't related to the Corvette. But I do have upcoming projects here on the Corvette, and one of them is transmission lines. Now, I did some videos some time back. If I can, I'll leave the links up here to them. I had a leaking problem. I had to diagnose where the leak was on the transmission, and it was coming from the passenger side, and it turned out to be from the transmission lines. And I got in there, I tightened it up, and I thought it was taken care of, and it's still leaking. One of the problems is the line, the nuts are kind of boogered up, and they're rounded out because you can never get up in there good with a good wrench. It's just in one of those spots, not without removing like the entire exhaust. And hopefully when I put these in, I won't have to do that. But I'm thinking of taking this motor out and making some changes. If I do that, it'd make it a lot easier to replace these transmission lines. And these transmission lines I'm using, if you're wondering where I got them from, I will leave a link down in the description box where I got them, and that's Classic Tube. Now, I've used Classic Tube twice before already. This will be the third time I'm using them. One video I did was on the fuel lines. I did the forward fuel lines that go from the fuel reel back to the fuel filter, both the feed and the return. Those come as a set. And I did those. I got from Classic Tube. They're stainless steel. Then I did all the hard metal brake lines, which comes as a set. Those are all stainless steel. I decided, since those are all stainless steel, that you can get these in the regular steel or the stainless steel. I decided to opt for the stainless. And one reason I did, just, I don't know, all the other lines I replaced are stainless, so why not these? And I live here in the Northeast, in the Rust Belt part of the U.S., so, and those lines are actually rusty. They're not bad, though. They're not, like, super corroded or anything like that they need to be worried about. They just have some surface rust on them. The ends are boogered up, and I think maybe the reason that one line keeps leaking is this end might be boogered up or something. So I'll know when I get that off. And hopefully they got these bent right, because these stainless steel lines are really hard to bend yourself if you have to. And when I did the brake lines, those needed a little tweaking, but very little. It was very little. Hopefully it'll be the same with these. I will let you guys know. At some time, I'd like to replace the rear fuel lines, but to do that, requires, I've never done it before, but that requires removing the body panels the way I understand it. And I don't want to remove body panels just to replace fuel lines. But I'd like to replace them with stainless steel too. Then I'd have all new stainless steel fuel lines, which is a good thing, especially with today's gas. Only thing that wouldn't be stainless would be the fuel filter. And there's, as far as I know, no one's making a OEM replacement stainless steel fuel filter. If someone is, please let me and others know down in the comment section. Okay. Other projects I have on this are the shocks, and I'll show you those. I have Rytec shocks, front and rear, single adjustable. They got the 1,000,000-mile warranty, and the way it looks, I will be doing the warranty on them. So, or at least I won't know till I get them out, because I talked to Rytec before, and they're telling me as long as there's gas in the shock, gas pressure in the shocks, they won't warranty them. So, but I'm going to show you this one shock, and probably when I take it off, I'm guessing it will be no gas in it, because it's been seeping for some time. Now, it's normal for shocks to have a little seepage, especially when they're the nitrogen pressured ones, but this is starting to get excessive. Also, the bushings are shot on these shocks. These shocks do have that million-mile warranty, million-mile and 1 mile warranty here, so I'm not anywhere near that. And I did register these shocks with Ridetech, so I'm hoping they warrant I hope they do the warranty on them. But let me move the camera around and I'll show you that. Okay, hopefully you guys can see how much that's seeping, and that's quite a bit. So I'm guessing when I take this shock off, I will see at least a reduction in gas pressure. So I'm gonna have to take that off, test it, and if I'm actually hoping all the gas pressure is out of it, so I can send it back to Ridetech and get that rebuilt. And get that taken care of. Probably should take the rears off and inspect them too. And I still have my old shocks, so I'll just replace them, put them on for now if I have to, and that should take care of that, I hope. And as far as the engine, I'm thinking of when I built this, I don't know if anyone if you've been following me that long, but when I built this current version of this 385 stroker motor, I decided to experiment with the low tension piston rings. That is good. You can definitely tell a difference when you assemble the motor, how much less friction it takes to turn the motor over. And you can tell it shows in the fuel mileage, and it shows in I guess you can feel it. I haven't had it on a dyno, but you can definitely feel it in the it feels a little bit more snappier. But they also burn oil, so that's kind of irritating. I thought about putting a vacuum pump on it. I actually have a converted smog pump that acts as a vacuum pump, but that does not draw enough vacuum when I tested it. When I converted it and tested it, it just doesn't draw enough vacuum. I could run a vacuum pump, and that would, with about 15 inches of vacuum, and that might solve the oil burning problem. I don't know. If you have any experience with that, let me know with the low tension rings if that makes a difference. Definitely make them seal better, and creating a vacuum in the crankcase definitely creates more power because you get less windage in there. The crankshaft spinning in a vacuum is just uses less horsepower, so it produces more horsepower, or frees up horsepower, whichever way you want to look at it. I could experiment with that without taking the motor out. That's kind of expensive. You're talking, $500-600 plus I have to do some fabrication and all that stuff. The fabrication part doesn't bother me too much, and of course some different plumbing. So I don't think that's worth it or not. I also considered getting one of the Summit aftermarket blocks and then just swapping the crank, the rods over, and new pistons, and make this, instead of a 385, make it a 400, and then a different cam. Of course, that involves a lot more money. And then I would swap the same heads over, the same trick flow heads over that I have on here now, and of course the tune port intake. But I'm not sure if I want to do that or not. I also considered taking this motor out and putting better pistons in it. This has the Hypertectic pistons. There's nothing wrong with the Hypertectic pistons. For a street engine, I think they're great. The problem with the Hypertectic pistons are all of them seem to only come with 5/64 piston rings. I think I might have seen them with 16th inch piston rings, but none of them come with the more modern thinner rings like the 1.2 millimeter to 1.5 millimeter. I'm not sure why they don't do that. They should, most modern engines are running the thinner piston rings. For instance, this Vortec block over here, Gen 1 small block Chevy, that had the real thin piston rings from the factory. So why they don't make the Hypertech replacement pistons with the thinner rings, I don't know. But I'd like to go to a set of 2032 forged pistons, and they're about $600 for those pistons, plus I'd probably send them out and have them coated with the line-to-line coating to reduce rock. That's what I'm using on these pistons right now. I get almost zero piston slap on a cold start with the line-to-line coating on the Hypertech pistons. There's literally zero piston rock. So that'd be the benefit to that. I think I have about 15,000 miles on this build right now. I can't remember the mileage when I did it. I'd probably have to go back and look. But that would be it for that. Yeah, so those transmission lines would be a lot easier to do with this motor out. I'm really having a hard time getting myself to pull this motor out to do that. Another thing to swap into those other pistons would be I'd be bumping the compression up. Right now I'm around 10.15, I think it is, on the compression with these. That's what 64cc chambers, and I believe they're 12cc, but they're actually, if you measure them, when they say 12cc, that doesn't include the valve relief, so it's actually 14 cc's. And the 64 chambers, I'm like very low 10 to 1 compression. If I go to the other pistons, they have a better D-shaped dish design, and they're 9 cc's. And I'm not sure if that includes the valve relief or not. I'd have to measure them when I get them, the cc's on them, but this would take it to about 10.5 to 1 compression, and that little bit of boost in compression makes a big difference. Now on the 90 and 91 L98 Corvette motors, which this is basically, or at least with that intake on it, from the factory they were 10.29 to 1 compression, and that does make a big difference, believe it or not, in my opinion. One thing about having the slightly lower compression on this, like when I was up in driving up in Maine, I could only get 90 octane up there, and the gas was terrible. Yeah, no matter what the octane was, it was just terrible. The car ran terrible on that gas up there. I don't know what they put in it, but it was terrible. So that's one good thing about having the lower compression. But anyway, that's it for this video. Let me know down in the comment section what you think I should do. Should I pull that motor and make some changes, or build a 400, spend the big bucks and build a 400? Or just say screw it, leave it the way it is, put the transmission lines on, and maybe pop for a vacuum pump. I'll tell you what, I would really like to experiment with that vacuum pump, just to see how it affects it. It would be interesting to see, and who knows, maybe I'll do that. I'll pop for the vacuum pump, experiment with it, and if it doesn't work out, I could always sell the vacuum pump. Of course, I'm going to be selling it at a loss because it's used, but who knows. Like I said, let me know down in the comment section what you think I should do. Should I screw around with a vacuum pump, pull the motor, just say screw it, leave it the way it is? It is running really good the way it is, I can say that. It just burns oil. Yeah, I guess that's about it for this video. In the meantime, everybody have a great day, and God bless.